In this lesson, we're going to go through how to actually create a pre-roll and a mid-roll ad for your podcast using Descript to do it. So there's two courses that this lesson actually is a part of. If it's interesting to you in more detail, we've got a Monetizing Your Podcast Masterclass, like a mini course that you can actually purchase right now. It's ready to go. It's on demand. It teaches you how to approach sponsors, how to charge the right amount, how to, like, what a pitch deck should really look like, all the aspects of monetization, and not just chasing sponsors, but also other aspects of places that you could actually go to actually make money out of your podcast. So that's one course. And then we have another one that is all about how to learn Descript, how to use Descript, how to edit in Descript, how to do everything that you might ever want to do in Descript. There is a course for that as well. So this particular lesson is just one small part of a broader conversation, part of larger courses. If it's something that's interesting to you, then go and do those. But if you just really need this information right now, go ahead. Here we go. So here we are in Descript. We're going to go through how to actually set up that ad read here, the intro or the pre-roll, and then the mid-roll as well. If you're new to Descript or you haven't looked at some of our other content, and as far as our lessons go in our courses, our other courses, the one main thing that's the takeaway here is to make sure that you order everything properly, that you've got a good organizational flow of anything that you're doing within Descript. So for us here, we have a fictitious podcast called Sandwiches, and I have done an intro and outro already for this podcast, and I have also now got a sponsor that wants to be involved with the show, which is so exciting. So now we then put together a little ad read for them so that we can slot it into the show. First thing we need to do is a pre-roll. Now, the pre-roll, in my opinion, needs to be really minimal and probably doesn't include music at all. Pre-roll is something that comes before even the standard intro for your podcast. So normally there's actually music in the podcast itself. And so also having other music that's in the pre-roll kind of conflicts, like it's a little bit annoying. So really, your pre-roll should be very quick and very easy. We're going to do one right now. So I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call it, I'm just going to do an audio project. Okay, and then this one is going to be called Sponsor Pre-Roll. Okay. All right, and now I'm just going to record straight into Descript for this one. If you have recorded an intro somewhere else, like on GarageBand or Pro Tools or Audacity or whatever, you can actually just drag it into here and then edit it within this platform. But for right now, I'm just going to show you like a really simple way to do it here, all in Descript. So we're going to hit record, and we're just going to go audio only. And we're going to make sure that we select the right thing. So this is the right microphone for me. And we're just going to hit record. Okay, so now I'm recording. This, as you can see, it's recording. And let's say that the sponsor is actually Vegemite. Okay, so this is this pre-roll for Vegemite. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite. More on that later. Okay, that's one option. Or this episode is brought to you by Vegemite. That's another option. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite, my favorite sandwich spread. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite, my favorite sandwich spread. Okay, now I'm going to stop. All right, so you can see I did like 4 different versions, but it was really, really small. This is a very small little sponsor slot, because we don't want to take too long to get to the actual episode. We don't want a big ad at the beginning. We want to just keep it really simple so that people understand that the episode is sponsored by somebody and that they are going to then hear about that brand later on in the episode. So don't overwhelm them with too much at the beginning. Make sure that the sponsor that is interested in sponsoring you understands that it is just going to be a really small grab for that first bit. So I'm going to go to maybe, we've got a couple of options here. This one here. I'll put my headphones on, that would help. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite. More on that later. Okay, that's good. Or this episode is brought to you by Vegemite. That's good, a really standard type. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite, my favorite sandwich spread. Okay, so I'll probably go with this one. I think I'll go with the one that says, it's my favorite spread. So it gives it a little bit of personality. So I'm going to get rid of all that. And I'm going to right click, split clip, get rid of all this. And so now I just have this. So this is my little pre-roll. That's actually all I need to do, other than make sure that we have a bit of EQing and compression happening. So I'm going to just make it sound the best that I possibly can. So you can see I just I clicked on the actual timeline, then I clicked on the layer, then I went to audio effects and went EQ. Now I have this little EQ thing here. And in fact, you should know this from other lessons that you've seen in this stack that will show you how to EQ, what's important to make sure you're aware of, and all that sort of thing. If you don't have that information though in front of you, or you haven't got access to those lessons, I'll just give you a little look. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite, my favorite sandwich spread. There's just a little bit here that I'll pull out, just a little bit around there, and then there's a little bit up here. I'm just going to give this a notch, so I'm going to make it small. I'm going to bring that down here, and I'll see what happens when I listen to this now. This episode is brought to you by Vegemite, my favorite sandwich spread. Fabulous. Now I'm going to right-click just before it ends and go Add Gap Clip, and I'm going to give it 2 seconds of silence. So if you just click on that and then you go 2, it'll give you 2 seconds. And then I'm going to press this little button over here on the left. I'm going to go back to the start, move my cursor over a little bit from the beginning, right-click, Add Clip, get rid of that junk. Then I'm going to give this one 2 seconds as well. Okay, now we're going to just test to see how long that is. This episode is great, and then at the end, spread. Great, done. Okay, so now we have 2 seconds either side. We have this being around 3 seconds, total. And so then we can just export this out. So we go export, audio, sponsor, pre-roll, local export, current composition, MP3, and 2 channels, sample rate, etc. So if I'm too speedy for you on this, it may be that you need to actually engage in our Descript course, and there will be links in there so that you can do that. But so now we have this. So then we export. Okay, and I'm just going to save this. My fake podcast. Okay, so now that's it. The pre-roll is now done. All right, so now for the next one, we're going to actually go back to home, and I'm going to do another one. Okay, and I'm going to just press new project, audio again. And this one is going to be sponsor, and it's going to be mid-roll. Now, the mid-roll is going to be more involved. The mid-roll is the bit where you have created a script and you've spoken to the client, the sponsor, or the person that's the kind of the in-between person. Maybe that's the network that you're with, etc. You've put together something that you think would be good for scripting. It's about 30 seconds in length, or 30 to 90 seconds. It can be anywhere up to there. I say around 60 to 90 seconds is probably a really good length for a ad, so that it gives the person that's sponsoring you or the company a really good feel for the fact that you're giving it lots of airtime, and you can reflect that in the rates that you charge, which again we can go into. There is a Monetizing Your Podcast Masterclass mini course. If you are accessing this outside of that, then I would advise you to actually take a look at that and potentially purchase that course. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to create one. Okay, so 90 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds, and it's something that you've agreed to with the actual client themselves, with the sponsor. You're recording it now, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and record it, and I'm just going to make this up. So you've just got a guide of something. Okay, and the other things to note is if you want your ad to land, if you want it to be a good ad, then really reading it off a script. I know I said to have a script, but reading it off a script is going to make you sound so boring. It's going to make it sound like you don't love the brand, that you're just getting paid to say it, and that no one is really going to take you seriously. So whatever script you create, there needs to be enough creative license in what you're saying so that you can be free to actually talk like a human being that really wants to talk about the thing. So that would be my other caveat there, is when you're approaching sponsors, when you've got a proof of sponsorship and they give you kind of a script, you really have to be able to change that script in the recording phase to make it sound like you actually want to be saying it, that you actually believe in the thing that you are recording. Okay, so we're going to hit record and I'm just going to make up a bunch of stuff. Every Sunday, I go to my parents' house. I have been doing this for many years. I go to my parents' house and we have a lovely Sunday morning breakfast. It is delicious. We have pancakes, we have scrambled eggs, we have salad, we have berries, we have all the things that I love to have. And we also have that moment of connection, which is the other thing that's really important to me as a person. The connection that you have with the people around you, with your family. Once a week, you get to check in on them, see how everyone's going, and just feel like you have a support network around you. One of my favorite things to eat at this breakfast is the pancakes. My mum makes delicious pancakes. They're vegan pancakes and they're just, they're so good. If I could give you the recipe, I would. But something that I do, which people find weird, is that I actually put Vegemite on my pancakes. I know I may be a little bit strange, but that's the way I like to have pancakes. It's also the way I like to have pikelets. It's also the way I like to have scones. And I like to have it on, toast. But the pancakes, I understand, is a little bit weird for people because normally it's something that you have like maple syrup or something with. But Vegemite really hits the spot for me. I absolutely love Vegemite. I also love Vegemite with avocado. Bit of avocado, bit of Vegemite on top. It's so good. It's like salty and it's just delicious. Vegemite is a staple in my house. It is something that I make sure that I always have. I'm sad if I don't have it. And I'm so happy to say that Vegemite is a sponsor for this podcast. Thank you so much to Vegemite for sponsoring this show. If you haven't tried Vegemite before, what are you doing? Get out there right now and go and get some Vegemite. I have a link to a discount code if you want to check out Vegemite. Thanks for checking. I have a link to a special discount on Vegemite's special. I have a link to purchase Vegemite at your closest retailer below. Let's get back into the episode. So you'll see from that as I was recording it, obviously I was making it up and I was making mistakes and I was, doing things. That's totally fine. But the thing that I did when I was recording that ad was that I started with a story. So I started with a story that connected to the brand that I was then going to be talking about. And if I'd scripted this and it was from Vegemite specifically, and they wanted me to say something about the B vitamins that are in there and the niacin and the extra stuff that's great about Vegemite, I could have put those things in, right? I was just making this up off the top of my head just to give you an example of what you could do for a sponsorship sort of slot there. But the story is important to how the actual ad goes, how the ad feels to the person listening to it. And so I think that's the thing that I want to make sure and really hit home to you is what is the story that you can create around the product or the service that you are trying to promote in your ad. This could be an ad that is for one of your own services as well. This might not be an ad that's from other sponsorship. This could be something that you have on offer. You have a course, you have a, one-on-one consultation thing, you have a program, you have masterminds, whatever it is. If you're promoting something, what's the lead? What's the thing that's going to connect with the person listening to actually want to listen to your ad? Because there are a lot of terrible, terrible ads. I'm sure you hear them all the time. What makes your ad better than someone else's crappy ad? So now we're going to go through and edit this ad to condense it down to make it sound good. We've got about 2 minutes to play with, okay? So I'm going to just go through this and I will come back to you when I have edited it all up for you. Okay, I've now edited that down. So we now have a 1 minute 46, which is fine. That's a pretty good length. So I'm going to go add gap clip at the end because we need a big tail on this. So it's not going to be 2 seconds this time. It's going to actually be more like 5, maybe let's go 8 seconds. And then at the beginning, we're also going to give it and add the gap clip, and we're going to give it another 8 at the front. Okay, so now you need to pick some music for your sponsor read, something that will be attention grabbing, something that will suit the brand. And there are a lot of different ways that you can actually get music, but one of the best ways to do it is through a company called Audiosocket. They actually have the largest amount of music that's ready for you to use that has been cleared for all sorts of uses. There are different pricing plans that you can do for that one. And I also have a discount code for Audiosocket. So if you go to Audiosocket and when you log in, you can see there's all this different music here that you can choose from. Always go to vocals first and make sure you go no vocals, because you don't want the vocals like singing to conflict with what you're actually saying in your ad. So we're just going to go that to be no vocals. And then genres, we're going to, it's got to be something a little bit fun. So we might go pop, and for me, jazz, because I love jazz, and I think that could be kind of cool. And the mood has to be sort of quirky, because Vegemite is kind of quirky, and feel good, let's say. So you can see here, it's been cleared for YouTube. It's no vocals, it's pop, it's jazz, it's quirky, and it's feel good. So we've got all those different search functions here, and it's giving me this huge list of songs that I can choose from. That might be overwhelming to you, but that's okay. It would be ideal to look at something that's around the length of the whole thing. So this is 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Let's try and find something that's like 2 minutes-ish. And I think you can do a duration. Here we go. So you can do the duration of, let's say, 2:30 to 2, so that we're only seeing things that should really narrow down the search quite a lot, so that we're only seeing the things that we can actually work with in here. And we only have one page here now that actually have that amount. So now we listen to a few tracks. Too full on. Oh, yeah. Is it Christmas? That's not bad. Next one. Fun, but nah. Oh, hello. Oh, we have to try that. Okay, so let's go Nick Jolly. Going to go download the track. Going to download MP3. Okay, and I'm going to put it in the same place as all my other stuff in my fake podcast. And we're going to go this one, Salon, as well. Okay, good. And then what's this one? Nah. Okay, so we're going back over to Descript here, and we're going to grab this one, the Jolly one. We're just going to drop it in. Okay, and we know we've got 8 seconds to play with at the beginning here. And let's see, we're going to have to adjust some volumes. Every Sunday, I go to my parents'. I mean, that's so silly. I flippin' love it. Okay, so we're going to go down to here. We're going to volume keyframe. We're going to click and right click, add volume. Right click, add volume. You can see I've created some little keyframe dotties there that help this music fade in, because what's going to happen is when you slot that into the actual episode itself, it's going to fade in as you finish talking, like it's going to blend in to the actual thing, right? So it's going to fade in fading on in. Every Sunday, I go to my parents' house. I have been doing this for many years. I go to my parents' house and okay, and you can see there's horns there, right? So it's a little bit loud. So we're just going to bring this down a bit. Every Sunday, I go to my parents' house. I have been doing this for many years. I go to my parents' house and we have a lovely Sunday morning breakfast. It is delicious. We have pancakes, we have scrambled eggs, we have salad, we have berries, pancakes, we have scrambled eggs, we have salad, we have berries, we have all the things that I love to have. And we also have that moment of connection, which is the other thing that's really important to me as a person. The connection that you have with the people around you, with your family. Once a week you get to check in on them. So it could be that the music is too conflicting with the horns, right? So because I've now turned it down to an amount that I'm like, yeah, cool, that could work. But I'm not 100% sold on that, even though I love the track. So we're going to bring another one in. This is important for me to show you that it's not always the first track that you try. Once you put the fades in, it's not always going to be that one that you roll with, right? So you want to make sure that you've got some other options. All right, we're going to go to this one now. We've imported Max Holmes' Saloon. We're going to add some volume keyframes again, and we're just going to kind of try and make them match what we have in the other one as well, so that it's sort of a similar kind of fade structure. And then we're going to put another gap in here. Not gap, volume keyframe. We're going to have a listen. I'll just mute this one by pressing on the actual track itself and then going up here and pressing off. Okay, and now we're going to go again. All right, here we go. Saloon. Every Sunday, I go to my parents' house. I have been doing this for many years. I go to my parents' house and we have a Sunday morning. We have pancakes, we have scrambled eggs, we have salad, we have berries, we have all the things that I love to have. And we also have that moment of connection, which is the other thing that's really important to me as a person. The connection that you have with the people around you, with your family. Once a week you get to check in on them, see how everyone's going, and just feel like you have a support network around you. One of my favorite things to eat at this breakfast is the pancakes. My mum makes delicious pancakes. Oh, they're so good. But something that I do, which people find weird, is that I actually put Vegemite on my pancakes. I know I may be a little bit strange, but that's the way I like to have pancakes. It's also cool. So then blah, blah, blah. Keeps going. So much to Vegemite for Taylor below. So you can see, thanks for Vegemite. Thank you so much to Vegemite for sponsoring this show. If you haven't tried Vegemite before, what are you doing? Get out there right now and go and get some Vegemite. I have a link to purchase Vegemite at your closest retailer below. Let's get back into the episode. Okay. So now we have this big tail at the end. And in fact, I think it would be cool if we could try and make that finish. See how this kind of stopped here? So there's this bit here in the music is actually a really good place to stop it. So if I right click split layer and then move this off, I can delete the end of that. We're not going to use Justin's other one. We're just going to use this. What I want to now do is make this fit so that the end of my track is kind of working with the end of this. Back into the episode. Boom. Yeah, so it's a really good place for me to actually stop here. So in saying that, all right, let's tighten up a bit of this front. Maybe we don't need so much at the front. Let's go sort of here and we'll bring it in a little bit sooner. Okay, because it's a guide. So we're bringing it over. Every Sunday, I go to my parents' house. And then we got this on the other end now that we can play with. So we can then go, okay, right click, add volume keyframe, right click, add volume keyframe. Let's get back into the episode. Okay, and there's a little bit of a tail there. I can hear that there's a little bit of reverb that's sort of sitting there. So I'm just going to press this little, see this is a little fade here. So I'm just going to move it over to the left so that it fades a little bit just at the end. Cool. Okay, and then it's fading in the right sort of spot there. All right, and now I'm going to just click on this big lot of room sound, like space here at the back in the gap clip. Bring it in so it's in line with this. I'm zooming in and out by pressing Command plus and Command minus. And then we're just bringing that in and fixing that up. And now what we have is a really great little sponsor slot. We've got 1 minute 50 including fades sort of realm, and it's a good slot that Vegemite would love to be. You would love to be in my podcast, wouldn't you, Vegemite? So now we've got 4 seconds at the front, we've got 3 seconds at the end. That's enough to play with. I know I had 8 at the beginning of this, but again, it kind of doesn't matter so much as long as you have the right music that then's going to fit and going to fade and have the right kind of climaxes and things in there to make it fit. So that's all good now. Now we can just go export and we can save it and do the normal things that we would do. The other thing that you need to make sure of is that when you export, you always check. Once you've exported it, go in, listen to it, make sure it's sweet, make sure it's really good before you then send that off to the actual sponsor for their approval. Make sure you haven't made any mistakes, you've said all the names correctly and everything like that. But that is how you actually create a really good ad. Sponsor slot, mid-roll and pre-roll. No music on the front one, on the pre-roll, and some music in the mid-roll. I hope you've enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this kind of content, and it's something that's been valuable for you as well. Reach out to me if you have any questions, or as I said at the top, if you're interested in one of the courses that we have around these topics, monetizing your podcast or working with Descript, then click on the links to those in the description.